than us. Why are you doing this? Why?
Right.
I mean, that's just what it is.
Really though.
Bonnie's saying she was in New York in a in NYC in a heat wave, and it's the same as Montreal in a heat wave. I'm like, if it like we're all by the water. If you're really by the water, it's humid, and the humidity's really bad.
New York City is a lot of people don't realize it, but like New York City is really made up of a bunch of islands. Like Manhattan is an island, Staten Island's an island, Brooklyn and Queens are located on Long Island, which is an island. The Bronx is the only borough in the 5 boroughs of New York City that's like attached to physically to New York State. So like the rest of it is all just like islands, you know? So like that's why you get a lot of humidity and a lot of fucking
we an island, so we just are one of the islands.
I will say New York is hella fun, even though when it's hella hot, it's like hella fun in the summertime because it's like you can't do nothing but be outside.
Facts, everybody
and
outside.
It's like real, like I really compare it to like Hey Arnold, like it's real life Hey Arnold, like there's just hella going on. There's like hella characters and like shit happening. Like, bro, this is really Hey Arnold, my nigga.
Yeah. And you know what?
I've heard.
I just finished. I love that you said that we be outside because I was just finished making a post like a few weeks ago where I was like, when people talk to like New York City people and they talk about like being outside, like you got to tone it down. Because we kind of like invented being outside.
Really?
Like, all we ever really known is being on these streets. Like you have people that live and die without ever having a car, and they just be on the block and on the stoop, and they just like this is like the life in New York City. You got people that stand on the corner, and like cops can't like really stop everybody on the corner and just assume that they're all drug dealers because New York City, though it does have many drug dealers on the corners. It's also just the city where people just be chilling sometimes on the corner. So now you're going to look crazy after a while because people are just really chilling on the corner. So it's just
there's
like,
only so many people you can stop and frisk.
You know, like eventually, like it's like, yo, now it's turned into a Nazi state, and New York City can't ever look like that. Like it's so liberal that like people, you know, they're like, yo, we kill ours, but like we can't be out here mass genociding them. Like we have limits too.
How has it been? Have you noticed a difference in the city or anything as far as since weed has been legalized?
I mean, it's already kind of like before it got legalized, they had already like, you know, already like decriminalized essentially.
Yeah.
And made it that like, oh, you know, you could smoke your weed, you know, as long as it's not anywhere public that like you can't smoke. So like in Central Park, quote unquote, you can't smoke a cigarette, so you can't smoke a blunt in there either, you know? But like that's bullshit because I'll be in Central Park like smoking a bogey. It's one of them things. Like if you on the move,
like why would I not smoke in Central Park? That just
like nah, you bugging. You bugging. Yeah, it's gonna happen and people do it. Exactly. So yeah, it's like it already had gotten a little bit more relaxed, but it's always one of them things where it's just like I guess like it still depends. I mean, I don't be, you know, I'm outside, right? But like I ain't on the corner anymore, like a corner boy, you know? So like, so it's not like I know, right? Like the way that they're being with like everybody that be outside on the regular. But like, you know, for a while there was still like, you know, oh, you could do it if you in the white part of the city, you know, like if you in the hood, you know, you still put your blunt down. I guess it's also just habit for us, right? Where it's just like we've lived a certain way for so long that it's just like these habits.
Like, laws mean nothing.
Hard to break. You know what I mean? Like you see the boys drive by. I was in my. We do a show on Sundays at my bar by Yankee Stadium, and like I bring a champagne bottle because they don't serve champagne at the bar. And so like I'm like with my champagne bottle in the enclosure with like a blunt in my hand, and like the cops like driving by in like the van, and like dude tries to like roll down the window and be like, yo, let me get some of that. And I look at him like, you gotta relax, bro. Like first of all, you gotta relax, period. Yeah, you're a cop. Like you need to stop this friendly shit. Like do that shit with younger people. Like I'm already too far gone. My experience with you guys is jaded. You're never gonna win me over. Like you can do all the
Truly.
nice shit in the world. You can fucking let me out, and I'm gonna still be like, fuck 12 all day. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like
That's real.
so, but like I can't really attest to the way that like it is for everybody in the hood, but I feel like for a second there it felt still very much so like, yo, put your blunt down, boys driving by. Like you're still not comfortable for a lot of the people that spent a majority of their lives living with the shit being illegal. And like,
that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Y'all will get there though. Give it time.
we will. I feel like once they open, once the stores, because that's what I think took us so long with from it decriminalizing to going full legal, is that like the people, the let me be correct in the way I say this, right? The women of color in the city that are like out here really fucking doing the work, right? And making sure that these politicians ain't getting away with certain shit, like the women of color in Congress and the senators and the all of them are the ones that have like, were making sure that like New York's laws were like that, like the corporations can't be like out here like 100% with all the like bread, and like that no people of color are like benefiting at all. Like they're trying to make sure that like for every like big corporate white storefront that opens up, like you have like equal opportunity for like a black owned person of color owned minority, the way they call it.
And also there shouldn't be a one single person that's still behind bars because of a weed offense.
It should not.
That's really where niggas should have started.
They did let out finally to everybody from Rikers that was there for weed charges and shit.
Like that's just fucking insane.
Mm-hmm.
That is insane to me.
Super insane. Like you can't, like, it's the silliest, where it's just like, how can you deny the racism of the country when you see shit like this, bro? Like, what do you, like, do you think that we're all blind and dumb? Like now we all got the internet and we all talking, like, you can't, like, you going backwards out here by like, not like, so like, I think that's where, like, I think that what we need to like focus on as a country is getting it like decriminalized federally. Right? Because right now, the feds still have like this looming energy over everything, right? And like anybody who's in the business knows about like the problems with the banks, maybe depending on your state. And like, and it's just one of them things where it's just like, you gotta chill, like, because it has like an energy where like, we could come take all your shit any minute now. If the feds decide that they want to raid your shit, like the federal government runs by a different law, and it's just like, you just gotta chill,
it's
man.
So
like,
dumb.
It's dumb. Like the whole country should be decriminalized and declassify weed from like having it up there with like fucking heroin, like where it don't belong. Like, stop it.
Yeah, it's a lot of weird.
I think that's where we all at.
Tell me about it. Yeah, pretty much. It's just a fucking plant, guys. Let's all relax here. It's just a fucking plant.
For real.
No, I mean,
just a goddamn plant.
I always thought it was strange, but like I'm in Montreal where you smoked like it was legal until it got legal, and then you smoke like it was legal, but you could get a fine. Because
y'all got some good weed out there. I will say that. I did have some good ass weed when I was in Canada. I was impressed.
Honestly, it's not as, I don't know if it's just my tolerance is higher and I'm getting older, which is possible, or it's that the government interfered. But like, shit's not what it was. They did this big old fucking raid on Quebec farms and a few other places, like with helicopters and shit and Google Maps, and they fucked up some shit. And then
they like fucked up like the ingredients or something?
Like, I'm just saying, but then the government came in and they put a 30% THC maximum on what can legally be sold. So now if you're a black market, or anyway, you're a grower, you've been through a process where you're trying to apply to the government to get your weed on, right? So now your weed, I mean, I'm not saying that you're not going to have better shit over there, but you're like mass market operations are really just government baits, right? So now everyone's growing shittier weed to get government money.
Yeah,
so if
that's true.
So if you know people, it's a wonderful situation still. It's because those people are now having to try hard because a lot of their customers have now going to the government. And in Quebec, it is just the government. The government sells you weed, and that's your only choice. And
that's true.
It's unfortunate.
I mean, when the government gets their hands on it, it's usually just it's trash. So it's not surprising.
Yeah, facts.
And it's like a lot of people aren't going to know that because they're not going to get in contact with somebody that has like a decent product that you can acquire via gifts.
Right.
Whatever.
Right.
And you have to like really compare it to be like, yo, I'm coughing way less on this shit. Yo, my throat don't feel quite the same. And then you go back to the government and see what they're selling. And you're like, yo, to get that same shit costs like double the price. Like there's this premium on like, because yo, they realize that the real money is in middle class people that like a 3.5 to an eighth. I think that's what y'all call it, an eighth. Will last them,
an
like,
eighth, sir.
Fucking I don't know, a week with their homies for the 3 times. Yeah, because this.
Wait, an eighth.
I'm not lying to y'all.
With other people.
Because these people smoke like fucking 2 joints a week.
I said that is too blunt, man.
No, my guy,
I'm
with you. I'm with y'all. I'm with y'all. I smoke like a lot on this very call. But then I started talking to people because I'm working with people who are of the economic sphere they're targeting, who were just holding off to legalization. Then it got legal. So for them who are used to dropping $200 on alcohol at a club, what's $70 on 7 grams of weed? It's actually kind of cheaper. So all of a sudden, the really good shit, it's not being sold to potheads. It's just being sold to people like willing to pay this premium, who want this like great experience, and that's being kind of normalized. And it's fucking weird to me. I'm like, y'all, and then a lot of, let's say, poorer people then who go the legal route are just not able to get good weed no more. But they don't know that because they stick this percentage on that shit. So if you think the percentage is what matters and you're not thinking about terpenes and you're not thinking about all that other bullshit, like, I don't know, even just if it's dry.
And those tests, those numbers are fudged anyway. That shit's not even accurate. Like you even see, I don't know if it's like, well, obviously you said like the cap is like 30% out there, but like in America, like you'll see in just regular dispensaries, they'll have like, you get like a sativa and there'll be like 41% THC. And it's like, bro, it's not even fucking possible. Like,
I've heard people.
This is not 40% THC. Like, where are y'all getting these numbers from?
So then you have like
I always do it by feelings too. Where I'm like, if you're not knocking me out literally, bro, then that couldn't have been that shit you just said, okay?
Right.
Because I know
40% THC would have me fucked up. Like, and I'm not. So that's not possible.